Ever feel like you're putting in so much effort, but
Right.
getting like nowhere? Like you're watering a plant constantly, but it just wilts anyway.
Yeah, I could get that.
It's frustrating, right?
Absolutely.
Turns out it might not be about raw effort.
It's about working smarter, not harder.
Yeah.
And that's where this idea of right systems and processes comes in.
Interesting.
And that's what we're going to be diving into today
Okay.
with this book, FormulaG. It's all about how businesses, and even us as individuals,
Okay.
can use systems and processes to get better results.
I'm intrigued. So let's break this down. Systems and processes, what are they really, and why should we care?
Okay, so imagine a clock.
Okay.
Each tiny gear inside, that's a process.
Right.
But the whole hawk keeping time, that's the system.
Makes sense.
You need both working perfectly together for it to actually tell the time efficiently.
I see.
And it's the same in business.
Okay.
These systems and processes, they're like the building blocks.
The foundation.
Exactly. They provide clarity, consistency. So,
Everyone's on the same page.
right. And that makes things like training and reviewing way easier.
Okay. So if our businesses are these well-oiled clocks, are systems like the blueprints then? How do you actually build them?
That is a fantastic analogy.
Thanks.
And yeah, FormulaG, this book we're looking at,
Yeah.
it breaks down the process of building these systems into 4 steps.
Okay, lay it on me.
So first you got to define the workflow, who does what, and how do they do it?
So it's like a super detailed roadmap.
Precisely, for every task.
Okay, I'm liking this already less mental clutter. Right.
Exactly. And then step 2, we look at how technology can make things even smoother.
Automation.
Yes. Project management tools, even just simple email templates.
Ooh, yeah, those can be lifesavers.
Right.
So this is all sounding pretty good, but wouldn't documenting every little thing get kind of stifling?
That's where finding the right balance comes in.
Okay.
You document all the processes.
Even the teeny tiny ones.
Yep. But the goal isn't to be rigid.
Okay.
This documentation, it becomes like a knowledge base to make sure everyone's doing things consistently and you can easily train new people.
So like a library of best practices.
Exactly. And then that documentation
Yeah.
becomes an archive
Yep.
for future generations to learn from and build upon.
So it's like passing on the wisdom, right?
Exactly.
Cool. So this all sounds great in theory, but let's get real. Are there any companies out there actually killing it with systems and processes?
Oh, tons.
Okay, spill the tea.
So there's Zapier,
Oh, yeah, I've heard of them.
fully remote company,
Wow.
valued at $140 million.
Dang.
They've really figured out how to manage remote teams well.
Okay, now we're talking.
And a lot of that comes down to their systems.
A remote workforce at that scale,
It's impressive.
they have to have some secret sauce going on there. What's the key?
Well, their CTO, Brian Helmig,
Okay.
he's talked about a few key things they focus on.
I'm all ears.
So first, they really prioritize hiring people who are excellent communicators.
That makes sense. With remote work, you got to be on topic communication.
Exactly. And then they make onboarding super smooth.
How so?
They've got detailed documentation
Ah.
and mentorship programs.
Oh, nice.
And finally, they use a whole bunch of tools that create like a virtual office environment.
So it's not Jay's tea about the tools then.
Right. It's about the people and the culture.
Creating that sense of teamwork.
Yeah, they build trust through good practices and open communication.
Zapier is a really cool example of how these systems can unlock potential,
I think so too.
even with a team that's all over the place geographically.
Absolutely.
So who else is out there rocking this system and process thing?
Oh, well, Procter & Gamble,
Okay, you pick it
another
up.
incredible example.
What do they do?
They're so on top of documentation
Okay.
that they actually have a public archive.
Wait, seriously?
Yep.
A public archive of their processes?
Of their workflows and processes, yeah.
Now that's commitment.
Right.
What makes their documentation so special, though?
It's all in the details.
Yeah.
They capture not just what they did, but why they did it.
Interesting.
Imagine being able to see how a product or a marketing campaign evolved.
Over time.
Yes, through decades of documented processes.
That's wild.
It's fascinating.
They've managed to stay relevant for, what, almost 2 centuries?
Yeah, they're a really old company.
By documenting and refining their system.
It's a big part of it, yeah.
It's like a recipe for longevity in the business world.
You could say that.
Any other examples come to mind?
Oh, yeah, definitely. McDonald's.
Oh, yeah.
Classic example.
Good one.
Their processes are so dialed in
Yeah.
that they can pretty much copy-paste their model anywhere in the world
That's true.
and still keep the quality consistent.
You know, it's funny you say that because Whether you're in like New York or Tokyo,
Yeah.
you pretty much know what you're getting at McDonald's.
Right. It's crazy.
How do they do it?
Their operations manual is legendary.
I bet.
Every single step, like grilling the patties,
Yeah.
assembling the burgers, it's all documented
Wow.
and standardized.
Like down to the second.
Pretty much. And it's that strictness, that sticking to the process
Yeah.
that makes everything so consistent and predictable.
It's pretty remarkable how a company can stay successful for decades,
For sure.
even across different cultures.
Yep.
It really shows how important systems and processes are
Absolutely.
for building a strong brand.
Huge part of it.
That framework gives stability even when things are changing all the time.
Exactly.
So we've talked about the what and the why of these systems and processes, and we've seen some companies that have really nailed it.
Yeah, some great examples.
But how can we, regular people
Right.
or smaller businesses actually start using these concepts?
That's a big question.
What's a good starting point?
Well, I think the first thing is to pinpoint your biggest pain points.
Okay.
Where are you losing time? Where's the efficiency going out the window?
Where are things falling through the cracks?
Exactly. So it's about taking a step back and analyzing where things are getting stuck.
Okay.
Once you've figured out those bottlenecks.
Then you can start brainstorming solutions.
Okay, so like for a recurring task,
Yeah.
could you make a checklist
A checklist or a template. Yeah.
to streamline things?
Absolutely. Or what about a process that's done manually right now?
Mm-hmm.
Can you automate it somehow?
Okay, I see.
It's about finding those small wins that can free up your time.
And mental energy too.
Oh, for sure. But I know what you might be thinking.
What's that?
What about those of us who love being spontaneous,
Yeah.
who thrive on creativity?
Yeah.
Won't systems and processes stifle that?
I could see that happening. Yeah.
It's a worry a lot of people have. But
Okay.
in reality, systems and processes can actually boost creativity.
Wait, really?
Yeah. Think about it. When you free up your mind from those mundane tasks,
The repetitive stuff.
exactly,
Wow.
you create more space for the truly innovative work.
That's an interesting way to look at it.
It's not about becoming a robot.
Right.
It's about building a framework that supports your strengths.
And lets you shine.
Yes. Okay, that makes a lot more sense now.
Good.
So it's not about restricting yourself.
Yeah.
It's about optimizing your workflow to get better results.
You got it.
And this is a journey.
It is, yeah.
It's not just like you set it and forget it.
Building effective systems and processes, it takes time.
Yeah.
It's about experimenting, figuring out what works, and constantly making it better.
So if you had to boil down FormulaG
Yeah.
to one key takeaway for our listeners, what would it be?
Don't underestimate the power of documentation.
That seems to be a recurring theme here.
It really is the foundation of any good system or process.
Makes sense.
Even just jotting down notes on how you do something,
Yeah.
it can be super helpful later on.
So a simple system is better than no system at all.
Exactly.
It's about finding what works for you and starting there.
Exactly.
And hey, don't be afraid to borrow ideas
Steal like an artist.
from companies like Zapier or P&G.
Yeah, or McDonald's.
They've all had a ton of success using these systems and processes.
For sure.
So as we wrap up part 2 of this deep dive,
Yeah.
what's the biggest takeaway for you? If you could implement just one system or process today
Okay.
to work smarter, not harder,
Mm-hmm.
what would it be?
Ooh, that's a tough one.
We'd love to hear your thoughts.
Yeah, let us know.
It's awesome to hear from our listeners,
It is, yeah.
seeing how they're actually putting these ideas into practice.
It's inspiring.
Yeah, it is.
Reminds us that we're all learning and growing together.
Absolutely.
Sometimes the simplest things can make a huge difference.
So true.
Right.
So before we wrap up this deep dive into FormulaG,
Mm-hmm.
I'm curious, is there a system or process that you rely on
Oh, good question.
to stay productive?
Yeah. For me,
Ah.
it's all about having a structured morning routine.
Interesting.
It really sets the tone for my whole day.
Okay.
Helps me figure out what needs to get done first.
A morning routine. Yeah, I could see how that would set you up for success.
It really does.
What does yours look like?
It's pretty simple, actually,
Okay. I start with a quick meditation.
to clear your head.
Yeah. Then I look over my top priorities for the day.
So you know what you got to tackle.
Exactly. And then I try to get the hardest thing done first.
While you've got the energy.
Exactly. The eat the frog method.
Oh, I've heard of that.
Right. Get that big, daunting task out of the way early.
Yeah.
It makes such a difference.
It's amazing how much lighter you feel when you get that done right.
Seriously. It's a small system,
Yeah,
but it has a huge impact.
It just goes to show you those systems and processes don't have to be complicated.
No, not at all.
Even little intentional changes can make a big difference.
Absolutely. It's all about finding what works for you and making it part of your routine.
Well, this has been a super insightful deep dive.
I agree.
We've explored the power of these systems and processes.
Yeah, we've seen how companies like Zapier, Procter and
Or
Gamble,
McDonald's.
have used them to achieve amazing success.
And we even got some practical tips
Hopefully.
for applying these concepts to our own lives. Yeah, for sure.
It's been a pleasure sharing these ideas with you and our listeners.
Likewise.
So remember, everyone, it's not about working harder.
It's about working smarter.
Yeah,
Systems and processes are the tools that can help you get more done.
with less stress.
Exactly.
Until next time, keep diving deep.
And keep those systems running smoothly.
That's right.
Yeah.
See you then.